Hi there, welcome to live stream Yoga with Louise, tips and cues to keep you safe and strong on the mat. Today we are going to get you fired up and rearing to go, playing with principles from the Tibetan rites, Kundalini Yoga and Pilates. We're going to be playing with bursts of movement and then holding and controlling the movement, focusing on practicing focus, concentration, and at the same time strengthening and conditioning the body. As always, play where you're comfortable, modify your movements if you need to, picking a pace that's comfortable for you and easing your way into child pose or pausing the stream should you need to take a rest. You ready to do this? Let's hit the mat. We're going to set up for today's class standing in the middle of the mat with your feet open a little bit wider than hip width distance apart. We're going to beginning with a little Tibetan spin to get the chakras or the energy systems in the body nicely warmed up. Take a look at your options before committing and then trying to complete 21 repetitions of the spin of your choice. If you're feeling good, you're going to stand up nice and tall, feet a little bit wider than hip width distance apart, tuck your tailbone under, pull your belly button in, and open up your arms into a T frame, palms looking down towards the mat. You're going to find a focal point or a drushti on the wall in front of you, and you're going to spin clockwise, completing 21 repetitions of your spin. Every time you complete one spin, you bring your eye back to that focal point to help with your balance and your coordination. If you find that spinning is too much for you and you become too dizzy, you can pick option 2. Standing up nice and tall with the arms long and lengthened at your side, you're going to tap the alternate shoulder as you bend and pivot on the back leg. Every time bringing your eye back to a focal point in front of you to help once more with that balance and that coordination. You ready to get going? Pick your poison, commit, and shoot for 21 repetitions. If you're doing the full spin, try not to start off too quickly. Remember to always bring your eye back to that focal point to help with your balance and your coordination. Wherever you're deciding to play, keep nice and long and lengthened through the spine. I'm going to call that 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20. Last one. As you complete your last one, stand up nice and tall and float your hands into a high prayer position just in front of your eye line, looking at your thumbnails, nothing else. Use your thumbnails to just bring that focus and that coordination back in. When the room stops spinning and you feel comfortably centered, you can drop the arms long and lengthened at your side. Check that your feet are stacking about hip width distance apart so you can bring them in if you need to. You're going to float both sets of fingertips into your lower back or just above your bum, and you're going to take a gentle back bend, arcing to peek up towards the ceiling. On an exhale, you're going to give me a half forward fold, bumping the weight back into your bum and gently folding. And then you're going to move dynamically between the two, giving me a beautiful arc into the spine, supporting the lower back, and then bending through the knees, bumping the weight back into your bum and your heels, and gently folding forward halfway. Inhaling as you come into the back bend, and then exhaling as you come into the half forward fold. Inhaling through your nose and then maybe giving me a nice shooting breath through the mouth, pursing your lips together. Let's do 3 more And then we're going to hold the back bend. Thinking of squeezing the two shoulder blades and the elbows as close together along the midline of the body as you can, making sure that you're supporting the lower back and expanding laterally through the chest as you take big inhalations and exhalations exclusively through the nose, if you can. Then drop both sets of hands long and lengthened at your side. Nod your chin to your chest. Lengthen through the spine as you tuck the tailbone under and draw up an imaginary zip from the inside of your ankle bones all the way towards the pubic bone. And then from the pubic bone, zipper up all the way to just below your sternum. From here, you're either going to sit back into an imaginary chair as you float the hands in front and come back to your start position, or you're going to peel up all the way onto the haunches and then come back into a standing mountain Tadasana. Moving dynamically, trying to find your balance on the haunches and floating your heels off the floor if you can. You could also modify by just launching yourself up onto the toes and then reconnecting your heels to the floor if you find that your knees are a bit niggly today. Sync your movement to your breath, maybe inhaling through the nose and giving me a soft exhale through the mouth, almost like soft steam escaping from a steamer. Maybe making a soft HA sound as you exhale. Keep long and lengthened through the spine, wherever you decide to play. Let's do two more, and then you're going to hold your haunch position, whether you're low to the floor or whether you're in a standing frame and just launching off the toes. Hold, keep lengthening through your fingers. Legs should be burning just a little bit. Ease your way from here into a seated frame. We'll tuck into Sukhasana, easy sit, sitting up nice and tall, tucking one heel in close to the perineum and then stacking the opposite leg in front. Place the fingertips on the mat behind you. Give me little spider fingers. You're going to push off your fingers, lifting your bum off the mat, and then thump yourself back down to the mat. Waking up all 9 energy centers in the body, beginning at the root chakra at the base of the spine, and then like a little domino feeding up all the way along all 9 chakras, making its way to the crown, the Sahasrara chakra. Keep your breathing even. Exhaling as you thump that bum into the floor, and then inhaling as you lift yourself off the floor. Playing with the exhalation of your choice. You're going to give me 4 more, and then you're going to hold your bum off the floor and try to hold for a couple of seconds, almost pushing off your feet, floating your bum up nice and high, contracting through the core to help hold that body weight as you push off the fingers. Let's hold 10, 8, 6, 4, 2, last one. Reconnect your bum to the mat and sit up nice and tall, extending the legs out in front. You might want to give them a little shake out as you get started. Sit up nice and tall. Make sure that you're not stuck behind your bum bone. So lift the bum flesh out of the way. Make sure that you're sitting up nice and tall on both of your bum bones and float the arms alongside your body, fingertips looking towards your toes. Feet about hip width distance apart or just inside of hip width distance apart. We're going to once more play with a little bit of dynamic movement, playing between staff pose and a tabletop line before we hold the tabletop. You're going to float your hands behind you, and you could use a fisted line if you need to, with the wrists looking in towards the center line. Draw your hands back till they're stacking underneath your leaned back armpits. Bend the knees, pike your hips up towards the ceiling, coming into a little table, and then float back to your start position. You're going to move dynamically between your seated frame, staff pose, and then you're going to push up into a bridge-like tabletop, piking your hips up evenly towards the ceiling. Make sure when you're pushing up into the tabletop that you're not leaning all of the weight into the legs or into the arms. Try to disperse your body weight equally between the arms and the legs. Almost think of your forelimbs as the forelimbs of a table, holding the table's weight equally. Pike those hips up towards the ceiling evenly, using the movement dynamically, so not holding the staff or the table, but rather oscillating dynamically between the two. Let's do 4 more. And then on the last round, we'll come up into the table and we'll hold the table for a couple of breaths. Pushing up evenly through the limbs, making sure you've activated your quads, your hamstrings, and your glutes. Keeping your chin line just in a soft, relaxed, neutral line. And then when you're ready to come out of your tabletop, you're going to soften the bum. As soon as your bum connects to the mat, bend the elbows, stacking them underneath the armpits, and extend the legs long and lengthened in front of you, clipping the feet softly together. As you come into position, check that you're not collapsing into the mat. Push off the forearms and pike your chest up to the ceiling. If you need to, you can tuck the fingertips underneath your bottom for support. Keep the core softly braced. You're going to look down towards your ankles and you're going to lift and lower the right leg off the floor. Don't allow that heel to touch the floor as it comes back down, and keep both feet braced on round 1. Give me 2 more. You're going to end high and hold. 10, 8, 6, 4, 2, 1. Soften both feet and start tracing a big circular pattern on the right. Moving clockwise, using your big toe to trace the circumference of a big ball, maybe using a large basketball or a Swiss ball as your guideline. And then change it up and move in the opposite direction. Big sweeping motions, keeping your chest up nice and high, not collapsing through the sacrum. Inhaling for half of your circle circumference, and then exhaling for the other half. End high, float the bottom leg off the mat, reach through the chest and the toes and hold for 10, 8, core is beautifully braced, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Drop back down to your start position, brace into both heels, and begin lifting and lowering on the left. 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2. You're going to end high and hold, bracing into both feet. Bottom leg is anchored into the mat at this stage. 5, 4, 3, 2. Soften both sets of toes and begin tracing a big circular pattern in one direction, using big sweeping motions, keeping your chest up nice and high and your chin line in neutral. And then change it up and trace your diameter in the opposite direction. Keep long and lengthened through the spine as well as the toes. Come to stillness. Float the bottom leg off the mat and extend through both sets of toes, almost holding a little scissor pattern between the two legs. 5, 4, 3, 2. Soften the knees, connect the soles of the feet to the mat and ease your way down onto the back. Knees are bent, Soles of the feet connected, feet and knees about hip width distance apart. You're going to gently float your hands overhead, keeping your feet and your knees hip width distance apart as we play. Begin in a neutral spine position with a little space between your lower back and the mat. On an exhale, you're going to tilt your pelvis to the 12 o'clock position so that your lower back imprints into the mat. You're going to scoop to peel up your shoulders and your feet off the mat, hovering the arms alongside the body, bracing into the core with your legs at 90 in a tabletop position, and then float back to your start position. You're going to use that movement dynamically, inhaling to prepare, exhaling to scoop and peel up, pausing for a second or two before floating back to the mat. Using a nice audible breath pattern as you scoop to pause. The belly should begin to burn and quiver. Make sure that as you're scooping and rounding out, that you're imprinting your lower back into the mat, lower rib cage nice and heavy into the mat, with the weight just off the shoulders, about 2 fingers of air between the chin and the chest, with your belly, your six-pack beginning to pop out, feeling each little briquette of your six-pack. Let's do 2 more, then we're going to hold the scoop. Reaching with your fingertips as you hold that scoop position for 10, 8, 6, 4, 2. Peel softly back down to the mat, keeping the arms long and lengthened at your side this time, palms down into the mat. We're going to work a dynamic bridge or setu bandha. Make sure that you keep your feet and your knees hip width distance apart as we play in the bridge line. Begin once more in your neutral spine with your little space between your lower back and the mat. Root softly through the feet as you tilt the pelvis to the 12 o'clock position, imprinting your lower back into the mat, and then start peeling up one vertebra at a time, disconnecting your bum from the mat, coming up nice and high on the shoulders as you pike your hips up to the ceiling, pausing for a beat or two, and then rolling back down the same way that you came up, feeling each nodule of the spine as you ease your way back into neutral spine. You're going to keep articulating up and down through the bridge line, using the movement dynamically to warm up the spine and the hips and the pelvis. Make sure that you're moving mindfully through the bridge line, tilting to the 12 o'clock position so that you can imprint your lower back first before you start peeling up one vertebra at a time. So controlling through the core and the spine as you peel up into the bridge line, activating your quads, your hamstrings, and your glutes when you're at the apex of your bridge. And then softening the legs and the bum to peel back down, controlling, almost rounding out and hollowing out your belly as you connect to the mat before you bring your spine back to neutral. Find a steady rhythm on your own. I'm setting a moderate pace. I'd like you to find a pace that works for you, making sure that you're keeping your chin tucked softly towards your chest as you play with that bridge articulation. Keep good form by making sure that you're not V'ing the knees out to the side of the room. So pretend that you've got a little elastic band around the knees that's holding the knees in position, adding some additional load for the legs as you come into your bridge line. Let's do 3 more dynamic bridges. And then on your last bridge line, we'll hold form and we'll play with the bridge dynamically. So the next time you come up into your bridge line, keep your chin tucked towards the chest, coming up as high as you can on the shoulder blades, almost resting on your triceps and holding your bridge. If you want to add a little bit more conditioning work, you're going to squeeze the inner thighs and the knees together before floating back to your original bridge line. The knees don't need to touch, but I want you to work with resistance so that you can feel the entire inseam of your inner thigh, all the way from the inside of the knee to the juncture at your crotch. Keep your hips piked up nice and high. Make sure that you've got your glutes, your hamstrings and quads fired up and working with you. Remember to keep your chin tucked towards the chest and try not to look to the side of the room so that you don't inadvertently tweak your neck. You're going to give me 2 more squeezes. Last squeeze. Soften the shoulder blades. Relax the glutes, hamstrings, and quads and begin gently descending back down to the mat with control. Feeling each little nodule of the spine, rounding and releasing your lower back before coming back to neutral spine. We're going to work a modified slow 100 from here. From your neutral spine position, tilt towards the 12 o'clock position through the pelvis so that you can feel your lower back imprint. Scoop to peel up off the shoulders, holding that contraction through the core as you float the arms alongside your body. Then inhale for a slow count of 5 as you raise the arms up till they're in line with your knees. And then exhale for a slow count of 5 as you bring the arms back to your floating position. So inhale, 2, 3, 4, 5. Exhale, 2, 3, 4, 5. Inhale, 2, 3, 4, 5. Exhale, 2, 3, 4, 5. Keep that rhythm going. Please note that this is not a fast beating 100 as we would usually do it. It's a slow ascent. Almost think of drawing up liquid in an injection as the hands come up. So you're filling up the injection and then you're squeezing the plunger on the injection to eject that fluid from the tube of the injection. Keep that scoop position so your lower back is imprinted into the mat, your lower rib cage is heavy into the mat, the weight is off your shoulders. You've got about 2 fingers of air between the chin and the chest, almost as if you had a grapefruit tucked underneath your chin, and you keep lengthening through the fingertips as if somebody was gently tugging them. Let's do 2 more sets. Last one. Float softly back down to the mat. Your core should feel nicely warmed up. Draw your knees up into a tabletop position and place your hands palms down on the knees. Start tracing 2 circular patterns with the knees away from each other, relaxing your whole lower back and the sacrum area into the mat, keeping your neckline and your jawline soft and relaxed. Change it up and trace that little circular release in the opposite direction. Then drop the soles of both feet to the mat as if you were setting up a bridge line and draw your right knee up to 90. Begin tracing a big circular pattern, taking the knee out to the side of the room and then floating it back to the inside, externally rotating through the hip joint. You're going to give me 2 more. And then you're going to use that momentum of your circle out to tuck the knee in towards your chest, interlacing the hands, bracing against the shin, and hugging the knee in towards your chest as close as you can, while tilting your pubic bone to the 12 o'clock position so that you can feel your whole sacrum and lower back relax into the mat. Holding this squeeze or scooping to peel up and thinking nose to knee as you come up. Then let go of the shin and brace the sole of your foot up to the ceiling, reaching with both hands for the undercarriage of your foot if you can, or holding for the back of your thigh and hugging that limb in towards your chest as you peel yourself back to the mat, coming into half a happy baby. Ardha Ananda Balasana. Keep hugging that limb in towards your chest. As the knee comes in towards your chest, allow it to splay around your chest, almost as if you were aiming for your armpit on the right. Then scoop to peel up, floating into a butterfly position, bringing the soles of your feet together, splaying the knees out while you hold onto the ankles. Scoop to peel up off the shoulders, tucking the heels in as close to the perineum as you can and giving a nice little brace of your core while you look down towards the heels of your feet. Keep reaching with your big toes. Almost think of this as Jupiter Mudra, using your big toes and aim for the wall in front of you. We're going to come into a full happy baby from here. Easing your way onto the back, floating the soles of both feet up to the ceiling, keeping a bent leg and trying to wrap around, holding for the undercarriage of your foot, and then tug down and gently just rock the body weight, cradle rocking style, side to side, while holding onto the undercarriage of your foot. I'm exaggerating the movement slightly here, but it's going to feel like your tailbone has peeled up off the mat. So I'd like you to rock the weight back into your tailbone. Try to imprint your tailbone into the mat and then hold your happy baby. Tailbone is as heavy into the mat as you can manage. Your shoulders and your back of your rib cage nice and heavy into the mat. Your chin is tucked towards the chest and you're pulling down on the undercarriage of your feet, trying to make your kneecaps heavy into the armpits on either side of the body. Then relax the soles of both feet to the mat as if you were coming up into a bridge line, arms long and lengthened at your side, and start tracing that circular pattern with the left leg drawing the knee away from the midline and then back towards the midline in big sweeping motions, externally rotating through the hip joints and relaxing your lower back into the mat. Use the momentum of your circular trace to hug the knee in towards the chest on the left, bracing softly around the shin and just hugging that whole limb in towards your chest. Then scoop to peel up off the shoulders, imprinting your lower back and ribs into the mat, thinking nose to knee. Let go of the shin and reach for the undercarriage of your left foot or maybe the back of the thigh. Then try to reconnect your head to the mat and keep tugging down on that limb, trying to get the kneecap closer to your armpit. Try not to rock all of the body weight to one side. So think of trying to keep your body weight evenly dispersed on both sides of the spine as you come into your half a happy baby. Then scoop to peel up. Float your feet into that floating butterfly, wrapping your hands around the ankles, scooping to peel up off the shoulders, imprinting your lower back and your lower rib cage into the mat. Looking towards your heels, tucking those heels in as close towards your perineum as you can, and reaching with your two big toes for the wall in front of you. Hang here, beautiful little release into the lower back. Keep that soft scoop and brace into the core. We're going to come into our full happy baby. Ananda Balasana, maybe this time trying to grab from the inside, so from the arch of your foot. Gently rock side to side. If binding from the inside is not for you, keep the bind on the outside. Rock your body weight side to side, systematically relaxing the tailbone, making it heavy into the mat. And then hold steady for a few counts, dropping your chin towards the chest. Back of the rib cage nice and heavy into the mat. Belly button fused to your spine. We're going to use one little rocker to come into a seated frame on the mat. Let go of the undercarriage of your feet, bracing softly behind your thighs, keeping the knees nice and wide, nodding your chin to your chest and rocking up into a high seat, stacking your shoulders over your hips and sitting up nice and tall, bracing behind the thighs and just dropping your tailbone down into the mat and try to lengthen through the spine as much as you can, keeping your belly button firmly fused to your spine. Then sweep the legs underneath you and find your way into a 4-point kneeling frame on the mat. Hands stacking underneath your shoulders, knees stacking underneath your hips. Make sure that your hands are open nice and wide with lots of space between the fingers. You're going to find a nice tabletop line for me. So a straight line through the spine, pretending that you're balancing a teacup in its saucer on your back, and you're trying not to spill any tea into the saucer. Keep your belly button softly pulled in to center. Your gaze is down on the mat between your two thumbs. You're going to exhale to round out in a cat shape, nodding your chin to your chest, stretching into the shoulders and the lower back. Inhale, come to a neutral tabletop line. And then exhale as you reverse the shape, coming into cow, taking your bum bones and your chin to the ceiling. Ease your way back into your tabletop line. Tuck your toes under. Float your bum up to the ceiling, coming into a down dog stretch. Just pausing for a second or two, making your heels heavy. And then keep the toes tucked under as you come back to your tabletop position and push back into half a child, trying to drop your bum towards your heels, but not quite get there, and give me a modified child stretch. If you find that this is too much for the arches of your feet, just relax your legs and come back into a traditional child, bringing your chest closer and closer to your thighs and your bum closer to your heels. Then ease your way back into 4-point kneeling, preferably keeping that toe tuck under. Find your tabletop line. Exhale to round out in cat. Inhale for table. Exhale for cow. Inhale for table. Exhale for down dog. Inhale as you come back to table. Exhale as you push back into your modified child. Arms long and lengthened. Pushing back but not quite getting your bum to your heels. Let's do that one more time. Find your tabletop line. Exhale to round out in cat, holding that soft contraction in your core. Come back to table. Exhale for cow. Nice little concave shape, but keep the belly engaged. Inhale for table. Exhale for down dog, trying to drop the heels to the floor as best you can. Stretching the front and the back chain of the body. Find your tabletop line, keeping the toes tucked under if you can. And then exhaling for your modified child, pushing the bum back, but not quite getting it to your heels. Come back to your tabletop line. See if you can push off the hands to hover both knees off the floor and hold for 10. If you're feeling strong, hover the right knee, or rather the left knee, right off the floor. So only right toes connected to the mat. And then change up, lifting and hovering the whole right leg off the mat. 10, 8, 6, 4, 2. Ease your way back to the mat and come into child pose. Big toes together, knees just softly splayed out, not too wide, just enough so that as you come into your extended child pose, you can comfortably clip your torso between the two knees and take a beautiful extended stretch here, dropping your bum bones back as far towards the heels as you can. From here, you're going to peel back up into a 4-point kneeling frame, but you're going to keep the two big toes clipped together behind you with the knees softly splayed out. And you're going to start tracing a big circular pattern through your 4-point kneel clockwise. Inhaling as you come forward and then exhaling as you softly bump back through the bum bones. Keep your belly button softly pulled into center and try to keep a nice long spine as you trace that circular pattern. You're going to give me 2 more like this. Then you're going to come to stillness along the midline of the body, and you're going to come into half a tadpole line, trying to sit your bum bones back on your heels with the knees softly splayed out. So you're almost using your heels to dig into those little pressure points into your bum. If this feels uncomfortable for you, you can open up into a traditional tadpole, opening up your knees even wider and sliding your feet around your bum so that the feet are almost softly cupping the bum. Pick your poison. All right. You're going to grab for your shins, whether you're in the half a tadpole or the full tadpole, and you're going to pull your shin bones up to the ceiling while you drop down through your bum bones. So if you are in the half a tadpole, like I am now with the feet tucked underneath you, you're going to feel the heels of your feet digging into your bum quite vigorously. If this is too much, slide off your bum and just hug the shins up to the ceiling while dropping your bum bones down towards the mat. Then let go of the shins, whether you're in the full position or the half position. Drop the fingertips to the mat behind you, or just float them behind if they don't reach the floor, or place a block on the floor behind you and just arc through the spine while opening up your chest to the ceiling, giving me a beautiful chest opening pose, Anahatasana. Then keeping the toes together and the knees wide, come back into child pose. Maybe your knees are a little bit wider than they were in round one. Push off your palms, sink the weight of your bum bones back. We're going to thread the needle to both sides from here. Take a big breath in, and on an exhale, thread your right arm underneath your left armpit, coming to rest on your right temple, and just pause here for a couple of gentle breaths. The arm that's long and extended in front of you, push off that palm and sink your bum bones back while making the whole right shoulder blade heavy into the mat. Come back to your extended child stretch. Big breath in to prepare. On the exhale, thread your left arm underneath your right armpit. Keep pushing off your stabilizing right arm. Sink your bum bones back as far as you can and make the whole left shoulder blade heavy into the mat. Ease your way back to your extended child. Make sure that your big toes are together and the knees softly splayed out, not too wide. Wide enough so that you can comfortably come back into 4-point kneeling, keeping those big toes together. And this time you're going to trace an anti-clockwise circle through your 4-point kneel. Inhaling for half of your circle circumference and exhaling for the other half. Inhale as you draw forward, filling your lungs to capacity, and then exhale as you push the bum back towards the heels. From here, you're going to push back into your half or your full tadpole, opening up the knees a little bit wider, reaching for your shins, pulling your shins up to the ceiling as you drop your bum bones down towards the floor. Then place your spider fingertips on the mat behind you. Arc through the spine, peeking gently up towards the ceiling. Opening up your chest center and your throat center. Ease your way from here into child pose. Big toes together, knees open nice and wide. Arms long and extended in front of you. Pushing off your palms and sinking your bum bones back as far as they can. Take a big breath in, and on an exhale, thread your left arm underneath your right armpit, coming to rest on your left temple and almost peeking underneath your armpit for the ceiling. Inhale, come back to extended child. Nice big exhale as you thread to the opposite side, the right arm threading underneath the left armpit, pushing off your stabilizing arm, pushing your bum bones back as far as you can as you tuck to peek underneath that armpit. Come back to your extended child. Pause here for a beat. pushing off your palms and sinking your bum bones back as far as you can. Then peeling up into a kneeling frame, either a high kneel with the big toes together and the knees wide, or you're going to give me a wide thunderbolt. So bringing the knees in, let's say just a little bit wider than hip width distance apart and sitting back on the heels. So there's a bit of distance between the two knees. You're going to float both hands behind your back. Think Titanic, or interlace the hands, make a little fist, squeezing the two shoulder blades together and thinking of using your knuckles to press the wall behind you away from you. Keep opening through the chest. Just keep your spine long and lengthened. Then uninterlace the hands. Drop your fingertips to the mat. See if you can bring your knees together and then lift your knees off the floor so that you're stretching the tops of your toes and the bridges of your feet. Hold. Keep hovering those knees off the floor. Then drop the knees softly down to the floor. Try to extend the right leg in front of you as you wiggle around with your bum cheeks, trying to wrap your bum cheeks around the left heel. Sitting up nice and tall with your hips and your shoulders even on both sides. If this feels uncomfortable, maybe reaching for a block, tucking the block underneath your bum cheek on the right so that you can sit up nice and tall with your hips and your shoulders even. Sit up nice and tall, and then float both arms out in front, reaching through the fingertips. You're going to give me a half forward fold. So we're not thinking nose to knee. Instead, you're going to start taking the arms up to the ceiling at a slight angle. You're going to tuck your head between the arms and you're going to look towards the ceiling, lengthening from your tailbone, nice long line all the way to the nape of your neck. And you're going to pull the belly button in towards your spine. Hold. Keep your breathing soft and relaxed. Then drop both hands at your side and slide off your bum as you push the leg in front of you, opening up the legs to about 90 and trying to tuck your back heel in as close towards your bum cheek as you can. Trying to get as close to a 90 degree between the two legs as you can, or bringing the two knees closer together if you find that this is more comfortable for you. You're going to float the hands behind you. Think Titanic. Make that little fist and then drop your knuckles to the mat behind you and push off your knuckles, lengthening and trying to grow your rib cage and your chest towards the ceiling as you arc slightly through the spine, opening up the chest once more and getting a nice little opening into the groin area. Hold, keep your breathing soft and relaxed. Then uninterlace the knuckles behind you and bring your bent left leg, sole of the foot, to the inside of the right leg. Sit up nice and tall. You're going to twist to the left, grabbing. We're going to change it slightly today as we come into a little mariachi. You're going to reach for your calf. Hold the calf firmly while placing the left fingertips behind you. You're going to pull the calf towards the wall in front of you while twisting to look off the back shoulder. So you're using your grasp and your elbow on the right to pull that calf towards the opposite wall. Keep bracing into the heel of your supported leg. Keep your spine long and lengthened. Ease your way from here into a seated butterfly with the soles of the feet together, the knees open. You're going to rock the body weight side to side while you surreptitiously creep your bum towards your heels. Looking for those little knots of tension in your bottom. Then sweep the legs underneath you. Find your way back into that wide thunderbolt. Sitting on the heels, knees open nice and wide. Float the hands behind you. Or you can come to a high kneeling frame if you prefer. Interlacing the hands behind you. Thinking of white knuckling the wall behind you. Squeeze the two shoulder blades and the elbows as close together along the midline of the body as you expand laterally through the chest. Then uninterlace the hands, place your fingertips on the mat, bring the two knees together, and then lift and hover the knees off the floor, stretching the tops of your toes, the bridges of your feet, and the ankles. Try to hold there, soft contraction in the core, and using your fingertips on the mat behind you for support, but not leaning aggressively into the hands, stretching into the feet. Then relax back onto your shins. Extend the left leg out in front of you. Wrap your bum cheeks around the heel of the back leg. If that feels uncomfortable, reach for your block. Use it as a little pillow underneath your bottom. And check that you squared up through the shoulders and the hips. Sit up nice and tall. Reach the arms out in front. Then float them slightly up towards the ceiling at an angle and lean forward, almost as if you were reaching for the skirting at the top of your ceiling, framing your ears on either side, fusing your belly button to your spine and lengthening all the way from your tailbone to your crown. So you're not folding forward, trying to get your chest to your knees. We're not playing in Janushirasana. We're modifying the movement slightly. Then drop the arms long and lengthened. Let your slide or push the left leg away, coming off your bum and opening up the right knee to the side of the room, trying to tuck it around your bum as you would in frog, sitting up nice and tall. Float the hands behind you, thinking Titanic, or making that little fist, drawing the two palms together and dropping your knuckles to the floor, pushing off your knuckles and floating your chest and your rib cage up to the ceiling as you arc slightly through the spine. Hold that pose. Keep your breathing soft and relaxed, and try to melt your collarbone away from your ears. Then uninterlace the hands, reach for that back leg, and come into your little mariachi setup, placing the sole of the right foot on the inside of the left leg. You're going to wrap around, left hand to the outside of the right knee, reach for your calf. You're going to use the left elbow, aim for the wall in front of you while you sit up nice and tall and rotate to look over the back shoulder. Keep pulling with the left arm, trying to float your calf and your elbow towards the wall in front of you while you twist to look over the back shoulder. Keep your belly button fused to your spine. Then gently unbind, float your feet into a soft butterfly line, and start gently rocking the body weight back and forth, surreptitiously creeping closer towards your heel line. Pause here, pushing off the hands, maybe arcing gently to peek up towards the ceiling. And then open up the legs and place your feet wide, maybe just on the inside of the edge of your mat. Drop both knees to side as you look over the opposite shoulder and use that movement dynamically, trying to connect both knees to the floor while you look over the opposite shoulder. You're going to give me 2 more, and then you're going to hold that stretch to the left, dropping both knees to the floor, looking over the back shoulder, maybe pushing off your fingertips while reaching with your right hand for the opposite wall. Keep looking over your left shoulder towards the back edge of your mat. Then hold that frame and just rotate through the head to peek over your right hand. Let's do that one more time. Dropping both knees dynamically side to side as you look over the opposite shoulder. So the knees are traveling in one direction and your head in the opposite direction. Exhaling as you drop the knees and inhaling to transition. Using that movement dynamically. You're going to give me 2 more, and then we're going to hold that stretch to the right. So the next time you come to the right, reach with your left fingertips for the ceiling while you look over the right shoulder for the back edge of your mat. Make both kneecaps nice and heavy to the floor. Keep pulling up that belly button and lengthen through the spine. Then hold the frame while you look over the right hand for the wall at the front of your mat. Ease your way from here back into a seated butterfly frame, bringing the soles of your feet together, tucking your bum in as close towards your perineum as you can, holding onto the toes, so wrapping one palm around all 10 toes, and then overlaying the other hand on top of it, and you're going to flutter the knees up and down like the rapid little flutters of a butterfly wing, rapidly up and down. Feel heat energy building up from your root chakra all the way to your crown. Then still the knees, drop them down away from your shoulders, anchor your heels in towards your perineum, and almost make the elbows heavy towards your hip bones while gently arcing up to the ceiling. Let's do that one more time. Flutter the knees up and down, building up that energy in the body. Begin the energy at the base of your spine, the Muladhara chakra, and let it vibrate all the way up to your crown, your Sahasrara chakra. Then still the knees, drop them down away from your ears, pull the toes up to the ceiling, close your eyes, take your focus in, and feel your whole body buzzing and humming with light energy. Feel light as a butterfly, ready to flitter away. Namaste to you all. Thank you so much for coming out and playing with me today. I really hope that you enjoyed today's class. Give me a thumbs up if you did enjoy. Remember to share with me your comments and your feedback, either using the YouTube display or reaching out to me via email or WhatsApp. Remember to subscribe with your notifications on so that you receive the free weekly classes. Even if you don't tune in to us every day, at least you've got access to the free class. And I shall see all of you for Pilates conditioning on the mat tomorrow. Till then, keep it light.